Owaisi perfumes, some of the samples rather that I got, that I'm not really probably gonna ever, that I'm not gonna make my favorites list. And just some insights into why. So you get the whole idea, because I've been glazing some of the really great ones that are gonna make it to my favorites list, and you should know what the opposite side of that list is. So here goes. So the first two that make the not such a huge fan of list is Santal Noir and Santal Rose. Now, I'm not sure what note it is. That quite a few of these have a common thread across them that I don't, not really a fan of. I'm not really sure it's sandalwood, because I don't really have a sandalwood Mysore sandalwood absolute yet. I'm not sure that this is sandalwood, because it doesn't match the descriptions. Anywho, Santal Noir is I think it has sandalwood and oud when I last checked it, right? Not a very strong oud as well, but, and yeah, and some rose, I want to say, and that's the one that I feel like has the issue. This Santal Rose has a rose note in it along with sandalwood. It's supposed to be a simple formula that in theory works, like for folks who like natural simple scent profiles. But the problem with both of these and some of the others is that there is this sharpness to it, and it's not rose, because I have like a ton of rose perfumes, and I have one really great, the best rose ether I've ever come across that is on my favorites list is Rose Oud, the expensive one by Hassan Oud. I have a review of that on the channel. It's really great. It's like a really natural smelling, pleasant rose with a subtle oud. These aren't it. That's not the problem. It's not that the cell profile doesn't really gel with me. The problem is it has that tinge. I don't know what to call that. When it's unfair to say this perhaps, but you gotta say the truth. Like, when I tasted Ajmal CD99, a very cheap attar, it had some decent notes about it, but it also had that cheap tinge to it, right? Like sharp, cheap tinge that you get when you buy very cheap attars. These are not very cheap, I imagine, but they have that tinge, and the common thread seems to be rose. So I imagine that must be the case. That the rose note is problematic, either in blending or sourcing or whatever. Either way, I'm not a huge fan of it. Not gonna do that. Now, the next one that I'll review is Khayal. If I remember correctly, yes, that means thoughts in Urdu, right? Khayal, thoughts. So this interesting has this one Khayal. You can see it's quite thick, and you'd imagine that this is right up my alley, but it's not. The reason being that it has a beautiful opening. When I tested it, similar to the slightly smoky, slightly bukhur openings of some of the other attars I do prefer. But then in the dry down, like maybe in the mid, it has that same rose note. So this is a no once again, because anything that annoys me. I'm not gonna. Is not gonna be something I'm even gonna tolerate. The next one, which is the most interesting one in this entire lot, is Ibtihaj. Am I saying that right? Yes, Ibtihaj. Now, interestingly, the gentleman who introduced me to this great perfumer, I'm very grateful for. When I asked him what his favorite is from his batch of Oasis, he said it's this. All right, it's this. So it may be a person by person thing. I'm not really sure. Again, the quality in terms of the color of it, you gotta really love, as well as the quantity. I really appreciate. Some of the samples I weren't even paid for, meaning he just gave me these because I bought so many others, which I really do appreciate. Some I actually paid for. Can't remember which is which. But anywho, coming back to Ibtihaj, the issue with this is that same rose note. Yeah. So it has an Audi slightly. It has a. Let me just remind myself. Yeah, it has a slightly Audi opening, but it has that same rose note in it that I'm not really a huge fan of, because of that sharp tinge that I can't stand. I'm not really sure what is going on with that sharp tinge. Why it comes? It comes in a little bit of the dry down for this one. Right, 5 minutes in, I want to say, after applying it, but still not a fan. So yeah, never gonna try that. The only one that's slightly tolerable from the list of attars that I'm not a huge fan of from this great house is this Attar Kaba. Why I'm saying why this isn't on the top list is because I don't like redundancy. I already have one of my favorites list from this house that has a very similar profile to this, right? So this one is very similar in profile to Khwab. I reviewed that on the channel and I really like Khwab, right? This one is a lighter, Attar Kaba is a lighter version of that. So it's beautiful, slightly oudi, saffrony, but weaker in performance, I want to say, compared to this on my skin. Now, everyone's skin is different, so don't take that as as the word as how it'll work for you as well. But this one is performs slightly less on my skin. It's also less strong in terms of the scent profile itself, and I am a fan of like slightly stronger scent profiles. So yeah, and so it's because it doesn't perform very well, even though it doesn't irritate me, unlike the others. It's not going to make my favorites list. So yeah, those are it for the ones that I'm not a huge fan of, but those are a few in. That's how it works with samples. If you are hearing from the content creators that they loved everything they ever received from a single house, then there's something really wrong.